Black woman talking about Black stuff. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. We are so excited to have you in the Trensetta Lounge. I know you're the founder of 1865 and also Funny Honeys, which is your creative agency for comedians. And you also have a 1865 fest coming up, which I'm excited to, dive in and learn a little bit more about. And then also just to get to know you a little bit more, as a person and just also just getting into the world of comedy. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about first you. Let's take it back to when you got into comedy. Let us know, your story. Take us back to when you first got started.
So when I first started with comedy, I was actually an intern. And I interned. Can you hear me, by the way? Can y'all hear me? Am I good?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
go, go, go. All right. So when I first started comedy, it was not as a comedian. I was an intern. And I was working at a creative branding agency in North Carolina, in Greensboro. And I also was interning for this Freestyle Funny comedy show, right? And that Freestyle Funny the leader was this guy named B Dot, still a comedian, radio host. So I got all of this experience on this side of radio hosting. And then I also helped out with their comedy show. I submitted games for their improvs. So that was amazing, right? So that was my first experience behind the scenes. And I saw the impact of creative branding then because I actually helped to get them branded in their EPK and their headshots. And 3 months later, we had a breakout star from that group, and that was Chico Bean. So I was able to work with Chico Bean, one of the founders of 85 South, prior to getting started, and that was like really exciting. But yeah, I started comedy in New York 6 years ago. I just turned 6 in stand-up years, and very excited to fuse the creative branding experience and the stand-up comedy knowledge and things I've gained into this festival that I'm presenting now.
Yes, and I know the festival is coming up upon us in the midst of Juneteenth, which is coming up in we're like on the 15th, so less than a couple 5 days. I'm not a math major, by the way, so
It's coming. I'm like,
it's coming
wow,
up.
it is right
Right,
around
it's
the
right around the
corner.
corner. Exactly. So I want to talk about, before we get to talking about 1865 Fest, I want to talk about your Funny Honeys creative agency for comedians. What is it all about, and why did you start it?
I started Funny Honeys because I've been able to build my own brand. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that what I'm bringing to the entertainment game and to comedy in general is bringing that entrepreneurship. And my mission is like every artist is an entrepreneur. They should treat themselves like such. They should conduct themselves as such, and that entails marketing. It entails branding. It entails like having digital assets. So I know a lot of funny comedians that were so mad when I first started comedy and I had a website in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
I had a website, I had a logo. I didn't even have no type 5, but I've just always known the importance of branding. And for me
Mm-hmm.
to be 6 years in and to be able to actually build that, and I've been able to partner with other organizations because of being a company, I want to share that with others. It's my mission to not only just have that for myself, but I started Funny Honeys as a cost-effective, affordable creative branding agency for comedians and creatives to,
Mm-hmm.
get their websites done, logos. So we're full service branding, and we do logos, websites, headshots. I do a content packet for comedians to help with branded content. So it's just everything that you could really need to build a creative brand. But also, more importantly, those are the digital assets about it. But having a plan for your future, for your creative career, that's so
Yeah.
important.
And
So important.
speaking of just having a plan, if you could just do things differently, or what would be like your one piece of advice to those comedians who are coming up business wise? What would you tell yourself 6 years ago?
So 6 years ago, I got the best comedy advice that I followed, and I would say that was to promote and to be funny.
Mm.
That is, people lose sight of the actual promoting and building your name.
Okay.
I think what I would do a little bit differently is maybe play a little more well with others, because I was so focused on building. To build that brand, it takes you being so tunnel vision, so focused that
Mhm.
I'm also into relationship building, and I was in New York, and I feel like I did missed a little bit in building relationships. So it's very important for me to push that to other creatives because, building relationships are currency, and there are a
Mhm.
lot of people coming up in the game. So now that I've learned that lesson, I make it my business to build relationships with the other comedians that I meet.
Yeah. How do you build community and relationships just like in the virtual world? I know things are, we're coming outside, people are getting outside. But like
Yeah.
how have you been able to navigate just like the virtual world that we're in as you continue to build those relationships?
Yeah, so when I first started, when the pandemic first hit, I was still in New York, and that was what motivated me to move to Atlanta quicker. And during the course of that, I started to connect nationally with other comedians because we were in the virtual space. So I did a few Instagram live series with Funny Honeys, and I was able to build in different markets. And I built with people in Atlanta and started to come down here and work with them.
Hmm.
So like I was definitely able to build community with that. And with my show that I do every Thursday at 10 ATL, it is an open mic showcase. And
Okay.
it is definitely to highlight and for people to come and grow and work on their jokes and their craft, right? And that is the best community builder because you see people getting up, you see them actually having a whole experience of like
Hmm.
building, and you see it, like you witness it right before your eyes, like, oh, you did that joke a few weeks ago. Oh, I love what you added, and to see that it just naturally, organically happens.
Yeah. What do you say to that up and coming budding comedian or just creative in general? Because I believe, not only comedians can benefit from this advice, but also just other creatives. What do you tell that person who feels like they have to prove themselves and is just having a hard time just getting that one yes?
You only fail when you quit.
Hmm.
And that's what I would keep telling myself. I would just cry and keep going, honestly. I think that that's just where it is. But in the whole scope of those things, I think one my biggest thing of advice. I wrote an ebook, and it's called "The Book on Getting Booked,"
Okay.
and I talked about documenting your dope, and it was more so inspired from Gary Vee and his story of how he saved when his creative, well, it was just his livelihood. When his business wasn't going well, his family business, he started a YouTube channel to talk about the ins and outs of running that restaurant, and
Hmm.
documenting his dope is what was able to build that brand. So even while you're down, even while you're waiting on that yes, because it's not about just waiting for that yes. It's really about putting yourself on and creating opportunities for yourself. And then when you get that one yes, you optimize out of that opportunity, and that comes in with getting content, and actually documenting your brand. Because once you get that one show, you got to document that so you can show, look, y'all see how I did that? Oh, I did that,
Hmm.
so that.
Yes, yes, and to put on yourself on. I love that. I love that. That's definitely key. She dropping some gems, y'all. So if you haven't already, pull out those pens, pull out those notebooks, pull out that notebook section on your phone, on your iPad, whatever it is, so that you can take these gems that she's sprinkling. So yes, thank you for sharing that. I also want to know who are some of your muses in the world of comedy? Who are some of the folks that you look up to, who you get inspiration from? Let us know.
So this is so different than I know most people would expect. But I am a stan, and I love Lucille Ball.
Okay.
She was the first boss bee of comedy, and a lot of people don't know like her story. Of course, I Love Lucy started the whole sitcom genre, just in general, and that
Hmm.
simple structure of those four main characters. So with that was a show that she got. She was doing a radio show. She got offered the opportunity to do because she was so good. She got offered the opportunity for a show. At the
Hmm.
time, she was married to Ricky, who was Cuban and didn't speak English. And
Wow.
she told CBS, I'm only going to do the show if you put Ricky as my husband. Which
Wow.
is like, I mean, at that time, he was the closest thing to a black man. You know what I mean? He didn't speak no
Wow.
English.
Hmm.
But they wanted her so bad, they said yes to him. And she created
Wow.
this Desi Lou Productions empire with her man. She was the first woman to have her baby on TV. She had Lou Ricky, that was live. So, just for her to do that in the 50s, for her to be an innovator, it's very important for me to be influenced by people who've done what I would like to do in production and in organizing. And also just, when I sit at that table with that network, I have so much work that I've done on my own that I get what I want. You
I
want
love
me,
that.
so that's what I love about Lucille Ball.
I love that. And so let's talk about the 1865 Comedy Fest that is coming up. And Juneteenth is right around the corner. So let's talk about that. What do folks have to look forward to? What's going on at the 1865 Comedy Fest?
So 1865 was birthed out of support for Black comedians and to celebrate Juneteenth. Okay. And this was around the time I birthed this right around George Floyd, the whole murder, and it was in a time I had health issues, so I couldn't protest. So I was like, what I can do, I can organize, and I felt that in this time and space, the Black community needs to be more unified. And then I started to research just more history of comedy in general. So 1865 represents the year that slaves were freed, right? But at the same time, we're always still providing free labor, for one. Mm-hmm. Number two, slavery was what inspired the minstrel show, which was the first stand-up comedy show from a man named Thomas Jim Crow Rice. He was mocking slaves, and he put on blackface, and that's what started those vaudeville minstrel shows. So even Black performers had to perform in blackface in early years. And seeing that and hearing that, the activism in me and the person that wants to organize in me was like, bro, not only is this something that I want to highlight, but also something I want to influence with present day. I don't want us still, not being as a creative community where we need to be. So with that being said, 1865 is not just a festival or a collection of comedy shows, although the shows are going to be dope. We have amazing comedians from Atlanta. We got Kelly Kells, Mario Torre, K-Dub. They're all hosting to present these national comedians that are coming from all over. So these comedians are performing their first time at the world famous Uptown Comedy Corner. So we are providing that space for them. We are providing that platform. We are recording their set so that they can market it and distribute their work even better. But the theme is school days. And school days is all about educating. So we're doing school days, and I have the classroom and I have brand building workshops. I have road mapping your success. We even have the joke gym. I've made all these play on school to fuse with comedy so that they can learn more to earn more.
Yeah. All right. And tickets go for $18.65, right? Not $18.99, cool? Not
$19. Yeah. And you can find all of that at funnyhoneys.com/1865. So we got y'all.
All right. Well, y'all heard it right here on the Trensetta Lounge here with Vanetta Schoefield, founder of 1865 Fest, as well as Funny Honeys. And make sure you go get your tickets. Danielle just put the link in the comment section for those who are here on Instagram Live. And for those who are tuning in on First Class TV on Roku and Hits 92.3, you can head on over to funnyhoneys.com/1865. And how can folks stay up to date with all that you're doing way beyond the fest as well, Vanetta?
So you can tap in. I have a really dope creative digital platform that we're launching right after the festival. I just encourage you to tap into the website, follow me on Instagram. Y'all come on and follow me. I need a little something. And then of course come to my comedy show that I have every week at 10 ATL every Thursday in East Atlanta Village. That's at 495 Flat Shoals Ave, free entry, 420 friendly. And you can see me presenting some up-and-coming comedians every week.
All right. Well, Vanetta Schoefield right here on the Trensetta Lounge with your girl, Cammie. Thank you all so much for joining us. And make sure you all go support Miss Vanetta Schoefield and all she's doing. And also make sure you tune in to the Trensetta Lounge on Roku TV, on First Class TV, as well as Hits 92.3 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. And we'll see you for more exclusive content and interviews right here on the Trensetta Lounge. Thank you, Vanetta.
Thank you for having me, Cammie.
All right, you guys, have a good night.